The galaxy had never seen a war like this. For centuries, the great empires of the stars had fought among themselves, trading planets like currency, waging wars with rules, with codes, with restraint. Then they made the mistake of attacking Earth. No one had ever considered humanity a real threat. Earth was a backwater world, primitive by galactic standards. The Dominion, a sprawling empire of cold-blooded Zellari overlords, saw Earth as nothing more than an easy conquest, a test, perhaps, for their young warriors. They descended upon the blue planet with their gleaming warships, expecting surrender. Instead, they found hell. The first days of the war were chaos. Humanity, fractured and unprepared, suffered immeasurable losses. Cities were burned from orbit, entire populations were wiped out in the blink of an eye. The Zellari laughed at the feeble resistance, their warriors marching through the ruins of human civilization, believing victory was all but assured. Then humanity changed. Survival wasn't enough. Surrender was never an option. The war became something else, something monstrous. Humanity refused to die quietly. They fought with weapons the galaxy had never seen. They waged war without honor, without restraint. The Dominion had come expecting a civilized battle, but what they got was annihilation. Earth's soldiers turned to guerrilla warfare, using every trick, every trap, every ounce of desperation to claw back their world. And when they finally learned to fight in space, when they adapted, when they evolved, there was no stopping them. The first true victory came when the Resistance captured a Zellari warship. No one knew how the ragtag survivors did it, only that they had stormed the craft like demons from hell, slaughtering the alien crew with their bare hands when their weapons failed. And then they took the war to the stars. The galaxy watched in horror as the tides turned. Human warships, fast and relentless, struck deep into Dominion territory. Planets that had never known war burned as humanity avenged its fallen. The Zellari, once proud conquerors, now fled in terror at the sight of Earth's war banners. But it wasn't just war. It was something worse. It was personal. Humanity did not just conquer. They destroyed. They wiped out entire species that had allied with the Dominion. They burned entire civilizations to the ground. The peaceful races of the galaxy begged for mercy, pleaded for humanity to stop. But Earth had no mercy left. And so, the war continued. The galaxy trembled. And humanity, once the underdog, now stood as the monsters in the dark. This was no longer a fight for survival. This was vengeance. And it had only just begun. The Dominion's desperate retreat shattered the illusion of their invincibility. Before the war with humanity, they were the most feared empire in the galaxy, their war banners stretching across thousands of conquered worlds. Now, their fleets burned in space, their generals slain, their planets falling one by one. But the horror wasn't just in humanity's victories. It was in how they fought. The Dominion had always waged war with a sense of superiority. They enslaved, they conquered, but they never truly obliterated. Their wars were meant to end with surrender, with a new ruler taking the throne of a beaten world. Humanity had no such intentions. The first recorded footage of the war turning against the Dominion came from the fall of Vorsk 9, a planet that had served as a military outpost for centuries. Dominion soldiers, once elite and ruthless, were now the ones cowering. When human warships entered the system, there was no declaration, no warning. The sky simply erupted into fire. The humans did not land troops. They did not take prisoners. They bombed the world until the surface boiled, until the oceans turned to steam, until not a single Zellari remained. Then they moved on. Planet after planet suffered the same fate. Dominion soldiers abandoned their posts, throwing down their weapons in surrender, hoping for the mercy that humanity once valued. But mercy had died on Earth. The few survivors who escaped reported the nightmares that followed. Human ground troops weren't soldiers, they were executioners. They didn't fight for glory or honor. They fought to exterminate. Zalari colonies, even those that had never participated in the war, were torn apart. Cities were leveled, civilians butchered. The few Zalari that managed to flee the bloodbath told stories of human soldiers wearing the bones of their fallen enemies, of laughter echoing through the ruins of their worlds. The galaxy's other empires watched in horror. For centuries, they had believed humanity was weak. Now they realized their mistake. The Dominion's Grand Council, once so proud, was now a chamber of fear and desperation. Their leader, Supreme Chancellor Vorek, stood before his advisors, his reptilian features sunken and pale. "They will not stop," one of his ministers whispered. "We must surrender. We must offer them our empire." Chancellor Vorek shook his head. "You think they want our surrender?" His voice cracked. "They do not want peace. They do not want rule." He turned to the holographic projection of what had once been the Dominion capital world, now a wasteland of fire and bones. "They want us dead." And so the Dominion prepared for its final stand. They sent distress signals across the galaxy, begging for help. Some empires considered intervening, but fear held them back. If the Dominion, the most powerful empire in the galaxy, had fallen to humanity, what chance did they have? One by one they stayed silent. Humanity's name spread through the stars, no longer as an afterthought, but as a warning. The species that had once dreamed of exploring the galaxy had become its greatest nightmare, and the war was far from over. The Dominion's last strongholds trembled as humanity's fleet pushed further into their space. There was no slowing down, no hesitation. Every world that had once belonged to the Zalari was either burning or already turned to dust.